My name's DJ Ray. My show is called Music Goats with DJ Ray, the GOAT standing for the greatest of all time in different music categories. Every week we choose a different music theme. Tonight we're looking for the greatest heavenly artist of all time, or lost legend, whatever you want to call it. Of course, the person has to be deceased. And who left the biggest imprint in music, alive and deceased combined? Who is number one? Who's the GOAT? You guys, if you haven't already picked, if somebody already picked your pick, you can pick it again. You just won't win the championship, but at least you can, show off your prowess as a music scholar. But ultimately, the person who types in the chat first, and that person is the GOAT, the number one of my top 20 countdown. You're our champion for tonight. And once again, Uncle Mike is in the lead right now with 2 championships. Ange and Darren also have 1 each, and that's it. So it's open game. And just so you know, I plan on sometime, no date has been decided yet, but sometime down the road here, I plan on having a best of the best championship to see who the ultimate music scholar is. So put your thinking caps on, pick wisely, and let's get started. Okay. The greatest heavenly artist of all time, coming in at number 20, is Kurt Cobain. Born in Aberdeen, Washington on February 20th, 1967, Kurt Cobain has been heralded as the spokesman for Generation X. As lead singer of Nirvana, he was arguably the most influential artist in the Seattle grunge movement that took America by storm in the early 1990s. His intense songwriting style and anti-establishment persona made him an idol for teenagers who were looking for something new and revolutionary. Although many other grunge bands were surfacing like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, none of them seemed able to capture the imagination of their fans, quite like Kurt Cobain. Throughout his short career, he struggled with the pressures of fame and was often in the spotlight for his tumultuous marriage to fellow musician Courtney Love. On April 8th, 1994, he was found dead in the greenhouse of his Seattle home. Police later concluded that he had died around 3 days earlier from a self-inflicted shotgun wound to the head. Due to the fact that he died at just 27 years of age, he was added to the infamous 27 Club, which includes many other legendary musicians who passed away at that same age. Interestingly enough, today is the 27th of May. 2 decades after his death, in 2014, Kurt Cobain was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, coming in at number 20 on DJ Ray's greatest heavenly artist of all time, Kurt Cobain of Nirvana. That's right, you tell him, no hints, Mommy Dearest. That's how we roll around here. All right, let's continue. So we had number 20 with Kurt Cobain. Some of you guys might remember this one. Number 19 is Ricky Nelson. Born in Teaneck, New Jersey on May 8th, 1940, Ricky Nelson became an 8-year-old child actor who starred alongside his family in The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. He was a household name well before Elvis Presley and is remembered as one of America's original teen idols. By the time he was 17, his early fame allowed him to start a long and successful career in the music industry. His 1958 single, Poor Little Fool, became the very first song to top the newly created Billboard Hot 100 chart in the U.S. Pretty cool. Throughout the remainder of his career, he recorded 17 additional top 10 hits in America. On December 31st, 1985, Ricky Nelson died when his passenger jet was struck with a cabin fire and forced to make a crash landing. The aircraft had been traveling between Guntersville, Alabama, and Dallas, Texas, where Nelson was set to perform a New Year's Eve concert. The fire was determined to have been caused by a defective heater in the tail of the plane. While both pilots survived by escaping through the cockpit windows, all 7 passengers died because they were unable to escape the smoke-filled cabin. Ricky Nelson was 45 years old at the time of his death. On January 21st, 1987, he was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's the one thing that really stands out about Ricky Nelson is he was the very first. I used the Billboard Hot 100 chart as my basically my Bible for determining a lot of this research that I do for these top 20s and figuring out the GOAT. And it's pretty cool. Ricky Nelson, not Elvis Presley, you know, not Bill Haley, not any of them. Ricky Nelson had the very first #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, which is the standard for determining, you know, pop hits right up until today in 2025. So coming in at number 19 on DJ Ray's greatest heavenly artist of all time goes to Ricky Nelson. Pretty handsome guy too, I might add. Okay, let's continue on here with number 18. Johnny Cash. Born in Kingsland, Arkansas on February 26, 1932, Johnny Cash was well known for his deep, calm baritone voice that spoke about themes of sorrow, moral tribulation, and redemption. Nicknamed the Man in Black, he rose to fame in the 1950s amidst the growing rockabilly scene in Memphis, Tennessee. Between the years 1956 and 1976, he posted a total of 13 country chart toppers in the US. Having sold more than 90 million records worldwide, he is considered one of the best-selling music artists of all time. His crossover appeal earned him the rare honor of being inducted into the gospel, country, and rock and roll halls of fame. In total, he wrote over 1,000 songs, and in 1999, he received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. On September 12, 2003, Johnny Cash died of complications from diabetes. He was 71 years old at the time of his death. Coming in at number 18, the Man in Black himself, Johnny Cash, which is pretty cool because although Johnny Cash was a crossover artist, meaning he could not just play country, he could literally, thank you for that, he could literally play country music, or he's had a lot of hits on the Billboard Hot 100 as well. So, but he's one of the few artists that, because there's a lot of great artists, use one as an example, like Loretta Lynn's not on this list. And the reason why someone like Loretta Lynn, who's probably the biggest country artist for females, maybe of all time, is not on here, because even though she did great, it was pretty much only on the country charts. And in order to be the greatest of all time, you have to cross over and you have to be able to hit the radio stations, all the radio stations, not just the country ones. So as great as someone like Loretta Lynn is, she's not in the big picture pop music greatest of all time. So for Johnny Cash to make this list, pretty impressive. So coming in at number 18, the nod goes to Johnny Cash. And with that, just a quick reminder that I am DJ Ray. I do these lives every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and TikTok. I will be coming to YouTube soon, though. Facebook and TikTok live at 8 p.m. My show is called Music Goats with DJ Ray, and the GOAT stands for the greatest of all time in various music themes. Tonight's theme, we're looking for the GOAT, the greatest of all time heavenly artist, lost legend, basically deceased. And with that, we've got number 17. I think I noticed in the box that somebody said it. I believe it was Ange. Coming in at number 17. This shows how great this list is for this person to be 17. Tina Turner. Born in Brownsville, Tennessee on November 26, 1939, Anna Mae Bullock, better known as Tina Turner, rose to prominence as lead singer of the husband-wife duo Ike and Tina Turner. However, her tumultuous marriage led to a disbanding in 1976 when she decided to embark on a solo career. She would go on to become one of the best-selling recording artists of all time, with estimated sales of approximately 100 million records. In 1967, Tina Turner was the first black artist and first female to grace the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. Throughout her storied career, she won a total of 12 Grammy Awards, and in 1991, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2013, Tina Turner applied to become a Swiss citizen, stating that she no longer had any strong connections to the U.S. and had no plans to reside there in the future. Sounds like what we're going through today. On May 24th, 2023, Tina Turner died at her home in Switzerland following many years of illness. She was 82 years old at the time of her death. Coming in at number 17 is Tina Turner. Ah, you're switching now. Yeah, you're just going to Jimi Hendrix. Still got time. That's okay. That's the beauty of this is you just can't switch your answers or even pick an answer after I announce number 5. From that point, you're locked in. But up until 5, feel free to switch. So Ange is now going with Jimi Hendrix. Another great pick. Hunter here looks like it's got Michael Jackson. And yeah, their picks are coming in nicely. I like it. Okay, got a nice active room today. Number 17, Tina Turner. Just a quick recap. At number 20, we had Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. At number 19, we had Ricky Nelson. Number 18 was Johnny Cash. And number 17, Tina Turner. Which takes us to number 16. I lost this gentleman not too long ago. Kenny Rogers, another crossover artist. How do you like that, eh? Born in Houston, Texas on August 21st, 1938. Kenny Rogers was considered one of the most successful crossover artists of all time. His signature hit, The Gambler, was a perfect example of his crossover prowess, winning a Grammy Award in 1978. He scored multiple number 1 country hits in the US, while topping Billboard's mainstream charts with hit singles like Lady, written by Lionel Richie, and Islands in the Stream, a popular duet with longtime friend Dolly Parton. In 2013, Kenny Rogers was officially inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. His 7-decade career wound down in 2017 as he began to encounter health problems that included a diagnosis of bladder cancer. On March 20th, 2020, Kenny Rogers died while under hospice care at his home in Sandy Springs, Georgia. He was 81 years old at the time of his death, and he is number 16 on the greatest heavenly artists of all time. Kenny Rogers. Gotta admit, he was one of my favorites. I always refer to him as a country artist, but he charted a lot on the Billboard charts, the Hot 100 charts, not just country. But he really dominated a lot in the country charts too. So yeah, Kenny Rogers. I like that one. Hope you guys are enjoying the picks so far. Yeah, you and I have kindred spirits, Teddy. I love him too. He's great. Miss him. He's only been gone for 5 years, but feels like forever. Number 15, another recent loss. Olivia Newton-John. Born in Cambridge, England on September 26, 1948, Olivia Newton-John was a British-Australian singer who sold over 100 million records throughout her career. She had major success in the US, charting multiple number 1 hits, including songs like I Honestly Love You, 1974, Have You Never Been Mellow, 1975, You're the One That I Want, featuring John Travolta on the Grease soundtrack, 1978, Magic, 1980, and Let's Get Physical, 1981. That was a great video. That was the days when that 20-minute workout, I don't know if you guys remember that, was on. Just kind of did her own little spin, but I always had a big crush on Olivia Newton-John, so that was a good video. She's been honored with many accolades throughout her career, including 4 Grammy Awards, 6 AMAs, 9 Billboard Music Awards, and a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. In May 2017, it was announced that Olivia Newton-John was diagnosed with breast cancer. She subsequently announced that this was actually her 3rd bout with the illness. However, this latest occurrence had spread to her bones and eventually progressed to stage 4. Being an advocate for the use of medical cannabis, she spoke about using this treatment to help ease her pain. Unfortunately, on August 8th, 2022, she died at her California home at the age of 73. Coming in at number 15, the beautiful, and what a voice, Olivia Newton-John. The thing is with Olivia's voice, you could always tell it was her. There was no artist ever. I mean, there's been some great female artists, but a lot of them sound alike. No one sounded like Olivia. She comes in at number 15. And with that, once again, I'm DJ Ray. I do this every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and TikTok, of course. My show is called DJ Ray's Music Goats. I'm here religiously at 8 p.m. every Tuesday. And every week I pick a different music theme to count down the top 20 to figure out who the GOAT is, the greatest of all time. Tonight's theme is the greatest heavenly artist. Number 14. Somebody said this one, so You may want to think of another one to replace before we get to or artist number 5. Coming in at number 14, Jimi Hendrix. Born in Seattle, Washington on November 27th, 1942, Jimi Hendrix is widely regarded as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. He began playing guitar when he was just 15 years old and eventually earned a place as a backup musician with the Isley Brothers and later with Little Richard. His first step to fame as a solo artist came after his 1967 performance at the Monterey Pop Festival. By 1969, he was the highest paid American rock musician as he headlined the legendary Woodstock Festival in Bethel, New York. Jimi Hendrix expanded the range of the electric guitar into areas no musician had ever ventured before. He favored overdriven amplifiers with high volume gains and was instrumental in developing the previously undesirable technique of guitar amplifier feedback. In my opinion, he was the pioneer of the Seattle grunge music that wouldn't truly surface until the early 1990s. Think about it. In 1968, Billboard magazine named him Artist of the Year, and in 1992, he was awarded with the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Posthumously, of course. On September 18th, 1970, Jimi Hendrix was rushed to St. Mary's Hospital in London, England, where he was pronounced dead at 12:45 p.m. After thorough examination, the coroner concluded that he swallowed his own vomit while being intoxicated with barbiturates. It was later explained that he had consumed 9 Vesperax sleeping pills, which was 18 times the recommended dosage. The mystery of Jimi Hendrix continued in death as he passed away at 27 years of age and was one of the original members of the infamous 27 Club. Another point of interest is that Jimi Hendrix was born on the 27th of November, 3 days after my birthday. There's something about this 27. I'm trying to figure it out, but yeah. Look it up sometime. It's called the 27 Club. There's other great artists in there. I don't want to say any names because they may still be on this list. May or not be, but yeah. So yeah, Jimi Hendrix, genius on the guitar, comes in at number 14. Which takes us to my lucky number 13, Aretha Franklin. Born in Memphis, Tennessee on March 25th, 1942, Aretha Louise Franklin, better known as the Queen of Soul, is best remembered for her 1967 single, Respect, which topped Billboard's Hot 100 chart in the US. Considered as one of the best-selling artists in music history, Rolling Stone magazine named her the greatest singer of all time on 2 separate occasions. Thank you for the gift. Thank you. Throughout her career, she received numerous honors, including 18 Grammy Awards and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. In 1987, she became the first female artist to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On August 16th, 2018, Aretha Franklin died at her home in Detroit, Michigan, at 76 years of age. Among the many celebrities who paid tribute to her legacy were Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight, Smokey Robinson, Faith Hill, Queen Latifah, and Ariana Grande, just to name a few. Coming in at number 13 on the greatest heavenly artists of all time, Aretha Franklin. Another one we just lost 7 years, just under 7 years ago. We've gone through a period of a lot of lost legends over the past 15, 20 years. It's sad, especially growing up with all these legends. Okay, let's move on to number 12. His name, I'm sure you heard of it, David Bowie. Born in London, England, on January 8th, 1947, David Robert Jones, better known as David Bowie, is widely regarded as one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century. As a point of interest, he changed his name from David Jones to David Bowie because he didn't want to confuse fans with the Monkees lead singer, Davy Jones. He had multiple hits in the US, including his 2 chart-topping #1 singles, Fame in 1975 and Let's Dance in 1983. He has sold over 100 million records worldwide and was honored with many accolades, including 6 Grammy Awards, and 4 Brit Awards. And keep in mind, for those who don't remember, a Brit Award is very similar to a Grammy Award, just the UK version. Often dubbed the chameleon of rock due to his continual image changes, in 1996, he was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On January 10th, 2016, David Bowie died of liver cancer in his New York City apartment. He had been diagnosed with the disease 18 months prior, but was reluctant to tell his fans, who were very surprised by the dire announcement. He was 69 years old at the time of his death. I remember that too, that was again only 9 years ago, and I always thought he was older, but I guess at the time 69 was older, but he's been around forever, since the late 60s. So yeah, there you have it. Number 12 is David Bowie. So let's just give a recap of where we left off. I think we left off at Tina Turner at number 17. At number 16 was Kenny Rogers. At number 15, we had Olivia Newton-John. At number 14 was Jimi Hendrix. Number 13, Aretha Franklin. And number 12, David Bowie. Which takes us to number 11. All right, number 11, Donna Summer. Born in Boston, Massachusetts on December 31st, 1948, Donna Adrienne Gaines, known professionally as Donna Summer, gained prominence in 1975 with her groundbreaking disco anthem, Love to Love You Baby. She eventually earned the title Queen of Disco and scored multiple number one dance hits in the US, including MacArthur Park, Hot Stuff, Bad Girls, and No More Tears, all number ones. Among her many accolades, she has won 5 Grammy Awards and 6 AMAs. On May 17, 2012, at 63 years of age, Donna Summer died at her home in Naples, Florida, due to lung cancer. Being a non-smoker, she believed the cancer was caused by inhaling toxic fumes from the September 11th attacks in New York City years earlier. At the time of this terror attack, she was living at her apartment near Ground Zero. 1 year after her death, in 2013, she was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and in 2024, she posthumously received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Coming in at number 11, Donna Summer. And this is where it gets interesting. The top 10. Need a drink for this one. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Hunter. Oh, thanks, Hunter. I appreciate that. Good to see some new faces. We've got a nice little crowd in here tonight. Yeah. For anyone new or just getting here, keep in mind that there's still time to pick who you think is the GOAT. Who is the greatest artist that is currently up there? Who is the greatest one? There's a lot to choose from. I've got some honorable mentions I'm going to mention at the end because I feel obligated. They're so great. So just type it into the chat and we'll see if you know how well you know your music. So we left off at Donna Summer at number 11, continuing with DJ Ray's Greatest Heavenly Artist at number 10, Jim Morrison of The Doors. I believe somebody said him too. Hunter's got Michael Jackson. Just so you know, Hunter, somebody chose that so you wouldn't win the championship tonight if Michael Jackson wins. So feel free to pick another one if you want, or you can stick with that. It's not all about the championship. It's just bragging rights. And speaking of the championships, currently the stats stand at Uncle Mike is our top champion with 2 belts. He's got the 2 championship belts. Ange has 1 belt, and Darren, who I don't believe is with us tonight, has the other belt. So it's 2-1-1. So it's anybody's game. And at the end of, not the end of this, but sometime in the future, which I'll announce a date soon, I'm going to actually have a Battle of the Best little tournament, and that will be for a nice little prize. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's start the top 10. Jim Morrison, number 10, born in Melbourne, Florida on December 8th, 1943. Jim Morrison was the lead singer and primary lyricist of The Doors. Since his untimely death, his fame has endured as one of pop culture's most mysterious icons. representing the generation gap and youth counterculture. He and fellow band member Ray Manzarek founded the Doors in 1965 while in Venice, California. The band spent 2 years in obscurity until shooting to fame with their number one U.S. single, Light My Fire, released in 1967. In 1991, Oliver Stone directed a biopic film about Morrison, portrayed by the late Val Kilmer. While the film was inspired by many real events, it was criticized by many people, including keyboardist Ray Manzarek, who said, quote, "It was ridiculous. It was not about Jim Morrison. It was about Jimbo Morrison, the drunk. God, where was the sensitive poet and the funny guy? The guy I knew was not on that screen." End of quote. On the morning of July 3rd, 1971, Jim Morrison was found dead in the bathtub of his Paris apartment, with the official cause of death being listed as heart failure. His passing came 2 years after the death of Rolling Stones guitarist Brian Jones and approximately 9 months after the deaths of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. All of these popular musicians had one thing in common. They all died at the age of 27, leading to the emergence of the 27 Club. In 1993, Jim Morrison was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, coming in at number 10, and another 27 Club member, Jim Morrison of the Doors. Wow, these are some iconic names, boy. Started off right from the beginning with Kurt Cobain, and it just getting bigger and bigger. And none get bigger than this next one. Coming in at number 9. I think somebody said it. I could be wrong. Okay, Hunter, you got Michael Jackson. Are you choosing Prince instead, Hunter? Okay. I don't think anyone chose Prince yet, so another great pick. Number 9 is Freddie Mercury. Born in Zanzibar on September 5th, 1946, Freddie Mercury was a British singer who achieved global fame as lead vocalist of the rock band Queen. Regarded as one of the greatest singers in the history of music, he was well known for his flamboyant stage presence and 4-octave vocal range. He wrote numerous songs for Queen, including Somebody to Love, We Are the Champions, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, and Bohemian Rhapsody, to name just a few. In 2001, he was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and in 2023, he was also inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 2018, the biographical film Bohemian Rhapsody was released, with actor Rami Malek playing the role of Freddie Mercury. Shortly after being released, it became the highest-grossing music biography film of all time, winning the Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture. As early as 1982, Freddie Mercury began showing symptoms of HIV/AIDS, and eventually he tested positive in 1987. On the evening of November 24th, 1991, Freddie Mercury died at his home in Kensington, London, England. The cause of death was bronchial pneumonia resulting from AIDS. He was just 45 years old at the time of his passing, and he is our number 9 GOAT. Well, I guess you can't be the GOAT if you're at number 9, but I'm sure a lot of people would consider him the GOAT. I'm sure every artist I've said so far, somebody in this chat room thinks they're the GOAT, and I wouldn't argue with any of them. It's just I did a lot of research this week, and I think this is a pretty thorough list. Because this next artist kind of surprised me. Not that it should surprise me, but with some of the artists I just said. But when you really think about his career and the number 1 singles and all that, it'll make sense, and I'll explain. Coming in at number 8, George Michael. Born in Middlesex, England on June 25th, 1963, George Michael started his career as part of the 80s pop duo Wham, alongside his friend Andrew Ridgeley. The release of their second album, Make It Big, included a string of successful hits like Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, Careless Whisper, Freedom, and Everything She Wants. It didn't take long before George Michael's charismatic personality and pristine vocals captured the hearts of young women from all around the world. His sense of fashion and physical looks played a big part in his rise to the top, and before Wham really got off the ground, George Michael had already outgrown the duo and began a successful solo career. He would go on to record multiple hits and several U.S. chart toppers, including Faith, 1987, Father Figure, 1988, and Praying for Time, 1990, just to name a few. Throughout his career, he won 2 Grammy Awards, 3 Brit Awards, 12 Billboard Music Awards, and in 2023, he was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In the early hours of Christmas morning 2016, George Michael passed away in his sleep while at his home in England. It was later determined that he died of natural causes. He was 53 years old at the time of his death. Coming in at number 8, must admit, one of my favorites, George Michael. All those girls that just were just drooling over him throughout the 80s. If they only knew he was gay, I never would have thought so, but that explains his great taste of fashion and whatnot. But yeah, amazing artist. George Michael. And, one thing people don't give George Michael enough credit for, he's got one of the best voices of all time. Just think about it. Great, I mean, I admit this might sound taboo to say to most of you, but I think he's right up there with Freddie Mercury, personally. If you don't believe me, just have a little, listen to him a little bit more. Listen to some of his more tender songs. You really get the vibe of it. But, yeah, number 8 is George Michael. Coming in at number 7, Prince. Not the king, but the prince. Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota on June 7th, 1958, the singer formerly known as Prince signed a deal with Sony Records at 18 years of age. Known for his flamboyant persona, wide vocal range, and exceptional musicianship, his music incorporated a wide variety of styles including pop, funk, soul, R&B, rock, and blues. In 1984, he became the first singer to simultaneously have a number 1 film, album, and single with the movie Purple Rain, its soundtrack, and his first number 1 U.S. single, When Doves Cry. Throughout his amazing career, Prince was honored with many accolades, including 7 Grammy Awards, 7 Brit Awards, 6 AMAs, and an Academy Award for Best Original Song Score for the movie Purple Rain. In 2004, he was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On the morning of April 21st, 2016, the Carver County Sheriff's Office in Minnesota received a 911 call requesting an ambulance be sent to Prince's home at Paisley Park. The caller initially told police that he found the singer unconscious and just moments after announced that he was dead. Later, the medical examiner stated that Prince died of an accidental overdose of fentanyl. He was 57 years old at the time of his death. They're just getting better and better. I mean, Prince is one of my favorites of all time. I can't say he was underrated because he was huge. But what a musician. And I don't know if many of you know this, but he is considered one of the greatest guitar players in history. I mean, his idol, I think, was Jimi Hendrix, and I didn't get as much credit because he didn't play a lot of rock, but he really incorporated the guitar in his music extremely well. Just look at that Let's Go Crazy, for instance. Amazing. Coming in at number 7, the artist formerly known as Prince. He was formerly known as Prince when he was alive, so now he's formerly known? Anyway, that can get confusing. And with that, another reminder, I'm DJ Ray. I do this live show called DJ Ray's Music Goats every Tuesday at 8 p.m. sharp. And I usually open the live up at 10:02. So if you want to come in a few minutes early and pick I notice people are starting to do that. It's kind of cool. Pick who you think is the ultimate, and you could be added to our championship board. So far, our championship board has, we just started it in May. Uncle Mike, who's with us tonight, our resident celebrity, has 2 championships in just this month alone. Ange, my lovely little sister, has 1. And Darren, who's not with us tonight, also has one. So let's see if you can get on the board, because eventually we're going to have a best of the best to see who really knows their music. And there's going to be a nice prize to go with that one as well. So you got just a little more time if you haven't already voted for who you think the GOAT is, because we're moving on now to number 6, Frank Sinatra. All right. Born in Hoboken, New Jersey, say that 5 times quick, on December 12, 1915, Francis Albert Sinatra is regarded as one of the most popular singers from the 20th century. Nicknamed Old Blue Eyes, he sold an estimated 150 million records globally, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time. His many accolades include 11 Grammy Awards, the Grammy Legend Award, and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. At the beginning of his career, Frank Sinatra worked with many big artists, particularly bandleader Tommy Dorsey. By 1942, Sinatra was really finding his stride and decided he would like to try his hand at going solo. Unfortunately, he was under contract with Dorsey, and a legal battle ensued. By September 1942, Tommy Dorsey unexpectedly allowed Sinatra to break their legal contract. Rumors began spreading that Sinatra's mobster godfather, Willie Moretti, coerced Dorsey at gunpoint to let Sinatra out of his contract. Didn't I see that in an episode, one of the Godfathers, 1 or 2? Sinatra and Dorsey were actually quite close at one time, but never reconciled their differences after that. I wonder why. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. On May 14th, 1998, Frank Sinatra died in his sleep after suffering a heart attack, with his wife Barbara by his side. He was 82 years old at the time of his passing, and he's the number 6 music GOAT this week for the greatest heavenly artist of all time, Frank Sinatra. Okay, how are we going to get any better than that? My God, the pressure's on here, eh? The top 5. Let's jump into it. Coming in at number 5, Bob Marley. Born in 9 Mile, Jamaica on February 6, 1945, Bob Nesta Marley was a Jamaican singer who is considered to be one of the original pioneers of reggae music. He became a Rastafarian icon and infused his music and songwriting with a strong sense of justice and spirituality. In 1975, following the global popularity of Eric Clapton's version of Marley's I Shot the Sheriff, Bob Marley experienced an international breakthrough with his first hit outside Jamaica, a live version of No Woman, No Cry. Released in 1984, his Greatest Hits LP went on to become the best-selling reggae album of all time. And in 1994, Bob Marley was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2001, he was further honored with the prestigious Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. On May 11th, 1981, Bob Marley passed away due to the spread of melanoma to his lungs and brain. His final words to his son Ziggy were, quote, "On your way up, take me up. On your way down, don't let me down." He was just 36 years old at the time of his death. God, we miss Bob Marley like no one has ever even touched. Like, talk about owning a genre, and a good genre too. I mean, so number 5 goes to Bob Marley, the king of reggae. Let's continue on. A little sip quick. And this next artist at number 4, I don't know if anybody said it, but it would have been a really good pick. Not the best pick, but a good, really good one. Coming in at number 4, John Lennon. I see Morning Thunderbirds here. I have a question for you really quick before I get to number 4. Was it you? Because I wasn't sure if it was you or somebody else that recommended Heavenly Artists. If it was you, I appreciate it. I took your advice, and here we are. If it wasn't you, enjoy. We're at number 4. Coming in at number 4, John Lennon. Born in Liverpool, England on October 9th, 1940, John Winston Lennon achieved global fame as founder of the legendary Beatles. His songwriting partnership with band member Paul McCartney remains to this very day as the most successful in music history. As a solo artist, John Lennon continued having success with hit singles like Give Peace a Chance, 1969. It Was You, thank you. It was a great choice. As soon as I heard it, I thought, we got to do this one. So I'm glad you were able to make it. Yeah, just so everybody knows, it was Morning. Well, she changed her name to Morning, that suggested this theme, Heavenly Artist, Greatest Heavenly Artist. So thank you for that. And like I said, if you guys have any suggestions of your own, I'm all ears. And 33K, wow, keep it going, guys. Nice. Thanks, Ange, for mentioning that. If you have any suggestions on future GOATs themes, feel free to mention them to me and we'll get them on there. Anyway, as a solo artist, John Lennon had success with hit singles like Give Peace a Chance, 1969, Instant Karma, 1970, Imagine, 1971, Starting Over, 1980, and Woman in 1981. He is one of the rare music artists to be inducted twice into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, once with the Beatles in 1988, and once as a solo artist in 1994. He was also inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1997. On December 8th, 1980, John Lennon and wife Yoko Ono were on their way home to John Lennon's New York apartment located on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. The couple exited their limousine at approximately 10:50 p.m. and began walking through the archway of their building. It was then that Mark David Chapman shot the singer at close range, twice in the back and twice in the shoulder. John Lennon was rushed to the emergency room of the Roosevelt Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. He was just 40 years old at the time of his death. So sad. And just think about it. He was only 40 when he died. Look what Paul McCartney did. And he's still alive. Imagine what John Lennon could have done. Even though Paul McCartney was my favorite, many would argue that John Lennon was even more talented. Yeah, you know. And the funny thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Mark David Chapman was a big fan of his. Go figure. Coming in at number 4, it's John Lennon. And just before we announce the top 3, because I think we might have a winner. Yeah, I remember Teddy too, all over the news. It was just shocking with John Lennon. Okay, I'm just going to repeat the top 10 up until number 3, and then we'll continue. At number 10, we had Jim Morrison of The Doors. At number 9, Freddie Mercury from Queen. At number 8 was George Michael. Number 7 was Prince. Number 6, old Blue Eyes Frank Sinatra. Number 5, the king of reggae, Bob Marley. And number 4, part of the Fab Four, John Lennon. Okay, I usually do a little drum roll for top 3 and a big roll for number 1. Somebody sent this one. Great pick, by the way. Let me see on my notes here. Okay, let's see here. I'm not quite getting the notes right here, but I'm sure I'll get a... Okay, we'll check that in a sec. Coming in at number 3, Whitney Houston. Born in Newark, New Jersey on August 9th, 1963, Whitney Elizabeth Houston was an American singer who was commonly referred to as the Voice. Known for her immaculate 4-octave vocal range, Rolling Stone magazine ranked her at number 2 on its list of the greatest singers of all time. That's when she was alive. I mean, that's a pretty big compliment. With over 220 million records sold worldwide, she is among the best-selling music artists in history. Throughout her life, she racked up 11 number 1 U.S. singles, including iconic hits like How Will I Know, 1985, Greatest Love of All, 1986, I Want to Dance with Somebody, 1987, and her signature ballad, originally done by Dolly Parton, I Will Always Love You in 1992 from the Bodyguard soundtrack. Through her storied career, she has won 8 Grammy Awards, including 2 Grammy Hall of Fame honors, 14 World Music Awards, 16 Billboard Music Awards, and 22 AMAs. She was also the first artist to win more than 11 Billboard Awards in one night back in 1993, which set a Guinness World Record at the time. On February 11th, 2012, Whitney Houston was found submerged in the bathtub and unconscious at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in California. Paramedics attempted to revive her by performing CPR. Unfortunately, their efforts were unsuccessful. At 3:55 p.m. Pacific time, Whitney Houston was pronounced dead. The coroner later reported that her death was caused by drowning and the effects of heart disease and cocaine use. The manner of death was listed as an accident. She was 48 years old at the time of her passing. And I have here accident. There's a lot of speculation, and it seems like it's been going on mostly recently with this whole Diddy thing. And I forget which award show was going on at the time. It might have been the Grammys. I can't remember. Yeah, it probably was because it was in February. Things are coming to the surface, and we haven't figured it out yet. And I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I've heard some interesting rumors that Clive Davis and possibly Diddy were somehow involved in this. And I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I heard. Coming in, regardless, at number 3 on the greatest of all time heavenly artist, the beautiful Whitney Houston. Talk about a voice. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, number 2. I've always said this guy was my favorite growing up, bar none. Just had it all. Coming in at number 2, Elvis Presley. Born in Tupelo, Mississippi on January 8th, 1935, Elvis Aaron Presley began his music career in 1954 with Sun Records producer Sam Phillips. Often referred to as the king of rock and roll, he is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. His sexually provocative performance style, combined with a mix of influences across color lines, brought a combination of great success and initial controversy. Having sold an estimated 500 million records worldwide, he was commercially successful in many genres, including rock, country, pop, and gospel. 500 million. That's crazy, especially in a time when record sales weren't necessarily at their peak like they were in, say, the 80s. Amazing. One of the most awarded artists in music history, Elvis Presley won 3 Grammy Awards, and several of his songs were added to the Grammy Hall of Fame. In 1986, he was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and at just 36 years of age, he received the prestigious Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Who does that? In 2018, he was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. On August 16th, 1977, Elvis Presley died of a heart attack due to a combination of prescription drug abuse and an unhealthy lifestyle. Kind of like to eat a lot at the end, but who of us doesn't? He was 42 years old at the time of his passing. Coming in at number 2 on the greatest heavenly artist up with God, Elvis Presley. The music must be great up there, eh? Just sitting around in heaven, listening to all these amazing artists that I've announced so far, and I haven't even announced the GOAT yet. I'm just about to do that. And it looks like I have the winner here. Let me just read my note quick. You know what? I think there's a little controversy today, apparently. I just got handed a note here. So I'm going to have a co-winner. I've never done that yet. So there's going to be two championships held tonight because of little, you know, coming in as the number one music goat for the heavenly artist, greatest heavenly artist of all time, the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. And congratulations to Hunter and Jay. Hunter and Jay. And it sounds like I'm going to give it to both of you this time. I've never done that before, but I'm going to give it to Hunter and Jay. So as the leaderboard stands, it's still Uncle Mike in first place. He has 2 championships. He won on May 6th, the Best Canadian Solo Artist. And he won on May 20th with Celine Dion, the song My Heart Will Go On. Darren won at the beginning of the month with the Best Beatles song. And my sister Ange won on May 13th, the Greatest 90s Artist. So those are our champions. And now Jay and Hunter will join that list and be entered into our Best of the Best, which is going to be probably somewhere near the end of summer. So lots of time to get on that board. Congratulations, Jay and Hunter, for picking Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, the greatest artist that's up there right now, the king of pop. Born in Gary, Indiana on August 29th, 1958, Michael Joseph Jackson began his music career as the youngest member of the Jackson 5. He was just 6 years old when he debuted as a singer in 1964. I hate when TikTok does that. Okay. Dubbed the King of Pop, he is regarded as the most culturally significant music artist of the 20th century. Over a 4-decade time period, his music achievements broke racial barriers in America and made him a dominant figure around the world. Through songs, stages, and fashion, he proliferated visual performance by popularizing street dance moves like the moonwalk, the robot, and the anti-gravity lean. I'm not going to try that one. Throughout his career, how do you even do that? Anyway, probably glued his shoes to the ground. Throughout his career, Michael Jackson racked up an incredible 13 chart-topping singles in the U.S. with songs like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, 1979, Billie Jean, 1983, The Way You Make Me Feel, 1987, Man in the Mirror, 1988, Black or White, 1991, and You Are Not Alone, 1995, to name just a few. He has sold approximately 500 million records, right on par with Elvis. It was a tough one between those two. And has donated an estimated $500 million to charity throughout his career. One of the most awarded artists in music history, Michael Jackson's accolades include 13 Grammy Awards, 6 Brit Awards, 12 World Music Awards, 26 AMAs, and 3 presidential honors. He was also a recipient of the Grammy Legend Award and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2024, half of his music catalog sold to Sony Music for $600 million, the largest music acquisition for a single artist in history. And that's just half. So you got to assume the whole thing would have cost $1.2 billion. On June 25th, 2009, less than 3 weeks before his concert residency was due to begin in London, England, Michael Jackson died from cardiac arrest caused by a propofol, I hope I said that right, propofol overdose. He was 50 years old at the time of his death. I just got to say something. First of all, congratulations to our very first co-winner, 2 champions tonight, Jay and Hunter. 2 newbies too. I think at least Hunter, I haven't seen you, so congratulations, guys. You're on the leaderboard now, and just 1 behind Uncle Mike, who has 2 and is in the sole possession of first place right now. This is ultimately going to lead to you have to win at least 1 championship to be invited. Well, you'll be invited, but to actually contend in this championship battle of the best I'm going to have probably later on at the end of summer, beginning of fall. And there will be a nice prize attached to that one. But one thing I do want to say about Michael Jackson, to go on record, this whole controversy over the years of him being like a pedophile and stuff, I must say that I fully disagree with that. My reasoning is that Michael Jackson grew up in a very strict household where he was the youngest child, and his dad, Joseph Jackson, was a real menace, let's just say. He never had a childhood. As I said, he started at 6 years old, and he always wanted to just be a normal child. So when, hey, Johnny, when all the years passed and he became this bigger than life icon, he just missed his childhood, and everybody was phony and fake with him everywhere he went. Nobody was genuine. So the only time he found genuine souls was with children. It wasn't a pedophile thing. It wasn't a sicko thing. It's just a guy that doesn't live like any else of us, and he just felt accepted a little more with children. That's just my thoughts. I'm the biggest hater of anyone who messes with children, but I don't think Michael Jackson was one of them. Okay, so with that, I just have a few honorable mentions that I need to say because there's so many great artists up in heaven. So my honorable mentions are Marvin Gaye, George Harrison of the Beatles, Andy Gibb, Eddie Van Halen, who we lost just recently, Roy Orbison, Bob Holly, I'll be all right, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Amy Winehouse, Gord Downie, I'm only saying Gord Downie because the Canadian in me, Hank Williams, James Brown, Janis Joplin, Jim Croce, John Denver, Little Richard, Biggie Smalls, Patsy Cline, Roberta Flack, who just passed recently, Ronnie Van Zant, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Tom Petty, which I noticed was just mentioned. Okay, so guys, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another week of DJ Ray's Music Goats. I want to let you know that next Tuesday, June 3rd, we're going to be presenting the GOAT for the greatest pianist of all time. Modern times. We're not getting into like, Tchaikovsky stuff or anything like that. Modern times, I guess, if I had to say a time period, anywhere from 1940 and up. Greatest pianist of all time is going to be our theme for next Tuesday, 8 o'clock p.m. sharp, right here on TikTok Live or Facebook Live, your choice. And with that, be sure and check me out on social media. I'm on most of the major platforms, and you can easily find me by just going to that platform and typing in DJ Ray's Music. Alternately, you can check out my official website at djraysmusic.com. I just want to thank all of you for joining me tonight. We had a good crowd tonight. Everybody talking it up. I love it. And I hope you had a good time. 50K. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks, guys. That's amazing. Is that our best, Ange, so far? Good job. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Give yourself a hand. Anyways, thank you very much for joining. Thanks for the gifts. Thanks for the taps. And hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. live with the greatest pianist of all time. Thanks and have a great night.